Hey guys, how you doing today? This is David Lucas here. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be ranking all of the Batman movies. And yes, those movies are going to be including the Tim Burton Batman movies, the Joel Schumacher Batman movies, and the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. I'm not going to really be ranking any of the animated ones or any of the old Adam West ones. Just the more relative Hollywood blockbuster Batman movies. Now in this ranking, I'm going to be ranking them from worst to best, and I will be giving some few points and reasonings why I rank in these films where they are and why I feel about these films the way they are. Now keep in mind, my whole list is totally subjective and just from my own point of view. Your list might look different than mine, and that's the whole point of this, is to see where our lists are. And now, starting with number 7. Now, number 7 on my list is none other than the god-awful, the atrocious, the abomination to everything that is Batman. The movie that makes me want to puke every time I watch it. So in all seriousness, this movie right here, Batman and Robin, is complete and utter trash, in my opinion. It just... throw it away. You don't even need this movie. It is trash. Now, Batman and Robin is Joel Schumacher's second try at Batman, and it's... the title basically says it all. It's horrible. Now, starting out with George Clooney as Batman and Bruce Wayne, I just thought was horrible. He did he wasn't even really that good as Bruce Wayne. I mean, I guess he has the look down for Bruce Wayne, but that was pretty much it. He had nothing else about Bruce Wayne's character down. He had absolutely nothing even close to the character of Batman in this. I mean, when you go back and you look at all the other Batmans and that has done the role, all the other actors that played them, they all have their signature Batman voice. They all have that signature "I'm Batman" moment. You know, Michael Keaton had his. Even Val Kilmer had his. Christian Bale had his. I don't know if Ben Affleck really did, but he didn't necessarily have his own Batman movie, so I guess that doesn't really count. But each of them had, even Kevin Conroy in the animated series had his own Batman, I'm Batman moment. And when George Clooney finally has his Batman moment, and he says, "I'm Batman," it just sounds like George Clooney. It doesn't sound anything like Batman. He just pops up and sees Mr. Freeze, goes, "Hey, Freeze, I'm Batman." And that's it. It's like, what? What is that? That's not menacing. That's not Batman. That's almost like the Adam West TV series. Nothing against the Adam West TV series. Those were a product of their own time, but we've moved past those now by this time. And you're still giving us that? Like, no, that was so off. I do not like his performance as Batman. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, I'm pretty sure everyone knows how horrible that is. I don't think there's really hardly anyone that likes the performance, and I pretty much can say the same thing about what everyone else says about him, that he's just not Mr. Freeze at all. They could pretty butcher that character. Speaking of butchering characters, they completely ruined Bane. Bane is supposed to be an amazing character, and they just, I don't know what they did to Bane. They just completely destroyed everything that Bane is, and then had some big dude in a mask saying, "Boom, boom," half of the movie, and that's like all he says, or he just repeats one word that Poison Ivy says. And even about Poison Ivy too, she's just, I don't know, she wasn't even good in this movie either. She wasn't even Poison Ivy. It wasn't good. I think they completely ruined almost every character, even Robin, and to Alfred. They managed to screw up Alfred in this movie. How do you manage to screw up Alfred? And they did. To me, this movie honestly feels like a Batman spoof. Kind of like how Scary Movie is a spoof to horror movies. This feels like a straight up Batman spoof movie. and that it probably isn't even a Batman movie. I completely hate this movie. I hated it when I was a kid watching it, and I hate it now so bad that the director himself, Joel Schumacher, apologized for this movie. You can even go look it up on YouTube. The director himself apologized for how bad this movie is. And that is say something by how bad this movie is. Batman and Robin is probably one of my worst movies I've ever seen in my life. I completely hate it. I completely hate what they did with Batman. I don't think there's really any redeeming qualities to it unless you look at it as a spoof and are just laughing at it. That's really only redeeming quality to this, is that you can laugh at it if you look at it from that certain way. Batman and Robin, I'm gonna have to give a 2 out of 10 to. I mean, give it a little bit of credit, because if it wasn't for this movie, we wouldn't have gotten Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. So let's take those for credit, that at least it did help us open a gateway for that. Now on to my second to least favorite, with the number 6. And yes, number 6 on my list is Batman Forever. And this is Joel Schumacher's first directed Batman movie after taking the place of Tim Burton's Batman movie. And also, we got Val Kilmer taking the place of Michael Keaton's Batman. And this movie, I gotta say, isn't that good either. It's not as bad as Batman and Robin. It does have some redeeming qualities to it, yes, but as a whole, I kind of would pass on this movie. I don't really like Joel Schumacher's version of Gotham City. It's too neon to me, it just looks too fake to me. And yeah, Gotham City does have that element of, a fantasy city, of a fake city, but Joel Schumacher takes it to too much of a cartoony level, and it almost feels like we're watching a cartoon within inside of a live action movie. And to me, it just doesn't feel right. Every time I watch it, it feels really off, especially with what we were getting in Tim Burton's Batman movies right before this, and then we get this one. Because even as a kid, when I was watching this movie, I never liked the colors and just the way how they interpret Gotham City is never how I imagined Gotham City from the comics. It's not how Gotham City was imagined from the animated series or any of that stuff. And so it just never felt right to me at all how Joel Schumacher interpret Gotham City. Everyone talks about the bat nipples, that those were really cringy and dumb to see. Don't know what they were thinking about with all that stuff. And this is also the start of the random ass shots that Joel Schumacher does in his Batman movies. I don't know why. He just has some thing about wanting to show Batman's ass all the time. I don't know. That's just his thing, I guess. It doesn't really seem right. It was really weird and off, and it doesn't feel like a Batman movie. And that's with everything in this thing, that it just doesn't feel like a Batman movie, and I don't like that. Even the villains don't feel like Batman villains. You got Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, Harvey Dent, and you got Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Now, Tommy Lee Jones has Harvey Dent and Two-Face, which is just horrible. Like, he almost looks like the Joker. I remember as a kid, I would face paint my Joker action figure, because I had like 2 or 3 extra Joker action figures, and I'd face paint one of them and make sure that pretend that it's Two-Face, because he just so much seemed to like the Joker. And his weird makeup, how it goes, I didn't like that at all. It was too zany to me, and yeah, it's cool to have a little bit of zaniness to Two-Face, but it's just too zany. And even Tommy Lee Jones' performance as Two-Face too is just so zany and cartoony and so overly top. I don't know if it was Tommy Lee Jones' fault, because he's a great actor. He's a fantastic actor. So I don't know if it was his fault for the performance of Two-Face, or if it was Joel Schumacher's fault of it. I don't know, but all I gotta say is that they completely destroyed Two-Face in this movie. Now, Jim Carrey as the Riddler, I actually don't mind. I do enjoy his interpretation as the Riddler. It's just one of those interpretations where I feel like the Riddler can be over the top. It's not my necessary choice of what I would do with the character, but I feel like doing a little bit over the topness does work for the Riddler. And Jim Carrey did alright with it. Was it the best Riddler ever? No. Can there be a whole bunch of better Riddlers out there? Yes. But he was an enjoyable Riddler. So that is one of the good things I like about this movie. Enjoyed the little bit of a darker aspect. It does actually have a little darker aspect to it. Some people always use it as, this is the start of Joel Schumacher's goofiness in going to Batman and Robin, which is true. It was the start of it. But if you actually watch this movie, there is some darkness to it, some heaviness about it, especially with the Bruce Wayne character, which I think Val Kilmer does alright. He's not fantastic in a role. He's not perfect in a role. He's not great in a role. He's just alright in a role. He doesn't ruin the movie. He doesn't bring the movie down at all. If anything, he was just written really bad, I thought, and he just didn't really have much to work off in the movie. So Batman Forever is definitely not my favorite Batman movie, and it's definitely not my least Batman favorite movie, but it just sits there like right as not really good, but not too horrible where I don't want to gouge my eyes out. So I'll give Batman Forever a 6 out of 10. It's not that bad of a film, but it's still it's an alright. It's a passable Batman film that's just alright. Now let's move on to my number 5 spot of the ranking Batman films, and the number 5 spot will have to go to Batman Returns. Now in Batman Returns, we got Michael Keaton returning and Tim Burton returning from the Batman 1989, the first original Batman movie. I have some problems with it. I actually do. And I know some people sometimes debate. Some people like this one better than Batman 1989, and some people like 1989 better than this one. I'm obviously fall under the jurisdiction of liking 1989 better. I didn't really enjoy this movie as much, especially as a kid watching this. It did not sit with me the right way, and rewatching it over again, it still doesn't really sit right to me. It doesn't necessarily feel like a Batman film. It feels like a full-on Tim Burton film to me. And that's where it does drag down for me, is that I get too much of Tim Burton-ness. And I don't really like that. I'm an moderate Tim Burton fan. I like some of his movies, and other movies I don't like. Now, his style, and I feel like, can go with certain things, but with Batman, I feel like too much of a Tim Burton style kind of draws away from Batman and makes it more gothic, and not as Batman-y, if that makes any sense. I didn't really like Danny DeVito's take on a Penguin. I know some people do. Some people love his take on a Penguin. To me, personally, it didn't feel right. It just felt too Tim Burton-y, and that's what the biggest issue of this whole movie is, that even the Penguin feels way too much Tim Burton-y. And I feel like Danny DeVito could have done a good Penguin, but I just feel like the script and the way how it was written, especially the look of him, just didn't sit right to me. And especially the scenes of with him biting off a dude's nose. It just felt too off to me. It felt way too different, way too out of the box from what the 1989 Batman movie was like, and it's just what Batman is in general, to where it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like Batman. I also didn't really like Christopher Walken's character, Dax Shepard. I thought he was just a throwaway villain character, whatever. He was hardly anything. I just didn't like that. I didn't like his whole character. I thought he served his purpose with the Catwoman, of how he created Catwoman, basically, and that was really it. And after that, I felt like his purpose for the movie was gone. I felt like he should have just been killed off after that, because he didn't really serve anything else. He was just there, and I didn't like how he's written. He shouldn't have been in the movie, I felt. Now, some of the things that I did like about this movie was Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. I thought her as Catwoman is almost perfect. Like, that is a perfect Catwoman almost. She does a great Selena Kyle. She looks like Selena Kyle. She sounds like Selena Kyle. And you can say the same thing about her Catwoman. She looks like Catwoman. She sounds like Catwoman. And she just is so perfect for the role. And I actually thought that her style, that gothic kind of feel, worked. She did work with that. But the whole movie as a whole doesn't work as that. But she personally, as a character, works for that kind of feel. And I really like what they did with her. Yeah, I really like Michael Keaton's performance as Batman. I thought Michael Keaton does a fantastic Batman. I'm not too crazy about his Bruce Wayne, but his Batman, I thought, is fantastic. He has the perfect level voice, I thought, as Batman. He has that perfect look in his eyes as Batman. I love the look in his eyes that he gives when he has a Batman collar thing. It just feels and looks and screams Batman to me. They have amazing shots and amazing Batman shots, I thought, in here. And I also really like that wintry feel. I think like that winter kind of feel mixes in with Batman so very well. And I feel like any Batman movie can work with that winter or fall type feel. So Batman Returns is not really my favorite of the Batman movies, but it still has some more redeeming qualities to it, and it's still enjoyable to watch if you're in the mood for a Tim Burton film. If you don't like Tim Burton's films or don't really not in the mood for a Tim Burton film, I'd say pass on this one. But it does have some redeeming qualities, like I said. Batman Returns, I'm going to give a 7.5 out of 10 to. Now on to my number 4 spot that might rub some people off the wrong way. I already can see it coming, but I have to be honest and say how I feel about this. And my number 4 spot for my favorite Batman films goes to The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight Rises is Nolan's third and final film into his Dark Knight trilogy, what is his brilliant Dark Knight trilogy. And this one had a lot of anticipation build up. I still remember seeing this to this day at the theaters with my sister. It had a lot of anticipation building up after the way how The Dark Knight ended. And everyone can't wait to see what's the next journey is to do with Batman, The Dark Knight. And I really like how this movie starts. I like how it starts, how we get a kind of look at an older, broken, more withered down Bruce Wayne, a retired, exiled Bruce Wayne. He's kind of doesn't come out anymore. He has a broken leg. He's grown his beard out. He has Alfred do fundraisers and stuff for the people of Gotham. I really like that. I like how where we are left off with Gotham, how we left off from the last one, and now where we see where Gotham is. I think it's 8 years later from The Dark Knight. And we see that Gotham, some people still believe in Batman. There are some kids out there that actually make Batman symbols around Gotham City, you know, making up a singles for trying to sing him to come back. There's some politicians and police officers that are like, nah, he's good. Let him stay away. We don't need him anymore. And then you got Commissioner Gordon, who is living by this lie all these years with what he happened in the last movie. And I think Gary Oldman's performance was just great throughout this whole movie. And I love the setup, like I just explained, that they did from what we left off and then now 8 years later. I loved all that. They did a great job on that. I love the villain of Bane. I thought Bane was a fantastic villain, and I don't understand to this day. Is one of those things where I just don't understand why people don't like Bane in this. I thought Tom Hardy as Bane was brilliant. His voice was menacing. His whole physique and the dialogue and the stuff that he says to Bruce was just menacing. It feels like a modern day Darth Vader to me. That's what he reminds me of, a modern day Darth Vader. Especially that one scene where Bruce is broken inside that cave in the pit, and Bane has that speech to him about Gotham burning, and then he can die after that. It's so great, and such great dialogue throughout this whole movie. I thought they did a great job on that. But this movie does have problems. I do not like the twist that they did at the end. I feel like at the end, they build up this amazing villain as Bane, and then they kind of just ruin him at the end. They do a horrible twist with him at the end, where he's just not even the villain anymore. He's just more of a pawn, and he dies so easily. It doesn't really, I don't like it. Hathaway as Catwoman, I like her. She does a good Catwoman, don't get me wrong. I really do like her as Catwoman, but she wasn't a standout in a movie, I thought. I thought she did good, but I was expecting her to stand out, and to me, she didn't stand out. And I was really hoping that she would have, but she didn't as much as I wanted her to. Another thing with this movie, too, where it really boggles down, is that there's a lot of plot holes in this movie. There's a lot of plot holes, especially with how Batman gets to one place or another, or how Bruce gets to one place or another. And especially with the ending, I really like how it ended, but at the same time, it does leave too many questions open. And I felt like as ending a trilogy like this, you shouldn't leave so much questions open. Even though I thought it was brilliant, I know it actually was kind of bad, I thought. At the same time, as brilliant as it was, it did bother me, and it left me in a split position. So I kind of walked out of this movie liking it, but not liking it as much as I should have. And I feel like that was a big problem with this movie. is that it had me from the beginning, and then about 2 hours into the movie, it kind of boggles me down. And the final act I thought really dragged until the very ending. But most of the final act just dragged, and it did bring the movie down for me a lot. Dark Knight Rises, I'm going to have to give an 8 out of 10 to. Not my favorite Batman movie, but definitely not my least favorite movie. It is a great Batman movie with great performances and great shots and a great villain. Just does have some problems with it. Now, on to my final 3. Number 3 spots for a favorite Batman movies ever made. I'm going to have to go to the 1989 Batman movie. Now, 1989 Batman stars Michael Keaton, of course, as Batman and Bruce Wayne, and is Tim Burton's first go at Batman movie, and is also the very first Batman movie ever made, the first live-action Batman movie ever made. When I recently rewatched this, I really enjoyed it. I loved it as a kid, but recently watching it, I realized how much I did love it and why it's so good. I said in my Batman Returns part that Michael Keaton, he's a great Batman, and in this movie, especially with the opening shot of him as Batman, it's so great. His voice as Batman is great, especially when his time as saying, "I'm Batman." So much better than George Clooney's. I love his Batman voice. He has that perfect middle Batman voice that I always say. I always say it's that perfect middle Batman voice, and I love it. I don't really like his Bruce Wayne. I don't think he does a good Bruce Wayne. He seems too much of a Michael Keaton to me to pass off as a Bruce Wayne. But he does do a great Batman. Jack Nicholson as a Joker is probably to this day still my favorite Joker. Nothing against Heath Ledger's performance as a Joker, but as my own interpretation as a Joker, Jack Nicholson nails it for me. He is the perfect Joker that I want to see. The look, the style, the laugh, the voice, everything just screams Joker. Other than Mark Hamill, he is the perfect Joker in my opinion. Really love Danny Elfman's music in this thing, the score that he has in the movie. The score is just so beautiful, and it's such a full-on Batman feel score. It reminds me a lot of the Batman animated series. It just shouts Batman, especially the ending, when that ending shot of Batman, and you see the bat symbol and the score going. Beautiful shot, one of the best Batman shots ever. I just love that shot. I really love Burton's interpretation of Gotham in this Gotham City. It's really kind of actually different from his Batman Returns interpretation. This Gotham City feels like a nice old-fashioned like 1970s, 1960s New York. And I love that feeling. It feels grungy. It feels a little dirty. You see a lot of like smoke and pollution in the air. It feels like how you would expect a Gotham City to feel. And I like it. And it has just enough gothicness to it to where there's not too much gothic, but just a little bit where I think it works. And I think it is probably my favorite interpretation of a Gotham City onto film so far. Also, let me add that I think this is the best Batmobile ever. It is simple, it is stylish, it is cool, but different. I really love this Batmobile, and I hope in the future Batman movies with Matt Reeves that they go back to this style Batman feels, and not go back to the neon colors or the tank driving Batmobiles, and just go back to the classic simple Batmobile. I hope they go back to this kind of Batmobile. One of the things I don't like about this, I don't like the Vicky Vale lady in here. I thought she was way over the top and really overacted and kind of didn't fit in with the whole movie. Even her reporter friend I thought didn't really fit in with the whole movie. He was kind of a weird addition and again way over to the top. Didn't fit in at all. Those were some of the things I didn't like about the movie, but other than that, I really loved Batman 1989, and it is still to this day one of my favorite Batman movies. And I'm going to give Batman 1989 an 8.5 out of 10. Now, on to my final 2. And my final 2, you probably can guess from the list of what the final 2 are going to be. And I honestly feel like the placement of these are gonna really, really rub some people off a different way. But that's exciting. That's the exciting part, isn't it? To see what everyone else thinks about it. So, moving on to my final 2, and on to number 2, I'm preparing myself for this. The Dark Knight. Yes, The Dark Knight is not my number one favorite Batman movie. It's my number two favorite Batman movie. Heath Ledger, of course, gives an amazing performance and a outstanding performance. Not even amazing. It's an outstanding performance as the Joker. Even though it's not my Joker, I can't deny that he does an amazing performance as a Joker. Love the crime thriller theme to it. Everything about this movie is perfect. The way it was shot, the script, the dialogue, the whole story, the whole way the movie was directed, the acting, the performance, everything about this movie is necessarily perfect. Like, I will not deny that at all. But my biggest problem with this movie is that it's not a Batman movie. It is a movie about the Joker, essentially. It's a movie about a crime lord working his way up and a vigilante, trying to defeat him. It's hardly about Batman. If you think about it, Batman hardly has any screen time. Batman doesn't do much in this film, honestly. It's mostly about the police and the city and the crime going on, which is great. But at the same time, as a Batman film, it does kind of fail at that. And it does wear the movie down. Now, there's an amazing scenes in the movie, like that interrogation scene was probably one of the greatest scenes in cinema history. The interrogation scene is brilliant. The dialogue performance from Heath Ledger and Christian Bale, great. Christian Bale doesn't really shout Batman to me in this movie, and that's my biggest problem with this movie, is that he's an alright Bruce Wayne. I think he's a really good Bruce Wayne. He's the exact opposite of what Michael Keaton is. He isn't a great Bruce Wayne, perfect Bruce Wayne almost. But then when he's Batman, I feel like it really brings it down as Batman. His voice is way too over the top. I don't like his voice. I don't like his outfit as Batman. It's too militarized to me to be Batman. I don't like the Tumbler Batmobile. It's just, he doesn't look right in the costume to me either. So Christian Bale's performance as Batman in this one does tear the movie down a little bit for me, but not as much, because this movie is a cinematic masterpiece almost. I love this movie to death. So The Dark Knight is definitely one of my all-time favorite Batman movies, and I will not argue with you if you say this is your best Batman movie, because I totally understand why it is. But to me, personally, it's not my favorite Batman movie, and that's why I'm going to give it The Dark Knight. And now, this is not anything bad about it. I'm going to give it a 9.9 out of 10. It's so close to being a 10 out of 10 movie to me, but I'm going to have to save that for, yeah, I think you guys guess it now, for my number one spot. And my number one favorite Batman movie ever is Batman Begins. What can I say about this movie that hasn't already been said about it? Batman Begins is the Batman movie returning after the horrible Joel Schumacher Batman movie. Christian Bale comes as Batman, and I gotta say, his performance as Batman in this movie is outstanding. I thought it's fantastic. He does Bruce Wayne and Batman so perfectly in this movie. I love the origins aspect. There's nothing bad to say about the origin. I said, he does the origin. Christopher Nolan does the origin aspect perfectly flawless in this movie. The way how Batman becomes Batman is flawless. Villain Ra's al Ghul is flawless. The script is flawless. Everything about this movie to me is flawless and just shouts perfection to me. It is a perfect comic book movie. It is what every comic book movie should inspire to be, in my opinion. It is the best Batman movie ever made, but I'm not saying that it is going to be the best forever. It can definitely change and not be the best, but to me, it is the best Batman movie ever made. There's not really anything wrong with it. I love the relationship with Batman and Rachel Dawes, with Batman and Alfred, with Batman and James Gordon. Gary Oldman as Gordon is perfect. Gary Oldman is the perfect Gordon, in my opinion. Christian Bale, if he would have stayed like this Batman throughout the whole series, I thought he would have just been the perfect Batman, but he doesn't. He kind of tears away and is not as good anymore, I feel like, in the later on movies. But in this one, he's perfect as Batman. Ra's al Ghul is a perfect villain. I love the training sequence when he's training to become Batman and is learning. It's all done so perfectly, in my opinion. Why Batman Begins is my ultimate favorite Batman movie. I'm going to have to give it a 10 out of 10 too. So what did you guys think of my ratings? What did you guys think of my list? Did you like it? Did you agree? Did you disagree? Let me know your list in the comment section below. I'd really like to know. I'd really like to discuss it in the comment section. If you like this video, make sure you like it. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe and look at other videos on my channel. I got a lot of other videos going on, and I'm definitely going to have some more ranking videos coming soon if you guys like this. And I will see you guys next time.